We live in a world where so many people every day feel separate from each other and separate from God and separate from love. We feel disconnected, and many people suffer in silence, even with other people potentially. Maybe they're alone, but maybe they're around others and they just don't feel seen or understood. There is so much suffering in our world because of this rigorous experience and interpretation of suffering, or the suffering of separation. The human experience is one of apparent separation. But today I want to talk about the idea, and that it's actually far more than just an idea, that love is always near. Love is always near. The love of, we can call God, source, the love of spirit, the love of each other, love, the substance of what we are, is always near. And while today I can only speak about it in an intellectual way, a conceptual way, I'm trying to point to something that goes far deeper than an idea. I'm trying to point towards something that each of us can experientially reach toward and feel, because what I'm talking about today is real. It's not just a fairy tale or a religious belief or something that it feels nice and then we forget about it. It is the substance of what we are. And I can't possibly bring to bear with words how I wish to communicate this, but I'm going to at least try and present some symbols and metaphors that might help us understand so that we can go find it ourselves. Okay, so first, the experience of being human is one of apparent separation. So what I mean is, it appears that everything is separate from everything else here. In fact, it's such a normal thing for us, such a fundamental assumption, that we tend to completely lose sight of the larger context in which that separation exists. We experience separation every moment. Like, I'm over here, you can see my body standing up here. You appear out there, I can see the podium in front of me. It appears external, I can feel it with my hands. Yes, I know it is a very rich context, a very rich environment, and separation seems so fundamental to it. And so we often feel separate from not only the things around us, but we feel separate from everything else that maybe we sense deep down exists. But look at how real the separation is around us. And then we buy into that over the years. And after years of that, we feel alone and we feel sad and we feel like we're unfulfilled, and we constantly seek in the world the things of the world to try to fill that hole, to try to find that connection again. Maybe it's this substance, maybe it's this object, maybe it's this person, maybe it's this activity that today will make me feel connected for a little bit. Okay, so we do that because we really have bought into this root assumption of separation, and we've bought into it so much that we even take that belief in separation and we even impose it on our religious understanding, our spiritual understanding sometimes of the bigger context. And what do I mean by that? Here's a root assumption, and I'm probably this is going to sound heretical to someone, and I apologize. But one of our root assumptions is we are separate from God. That is a theological assumption that is taught, that we are separated. I am here to say today that you are not separate from God. You cannot be separate from God or from source, from the love of spirit. It is not possible to be separate. It is only possible to have the apparent experience of separation. And that's what we're doing right now. In fact, this human experience is one of the most extreme experiences of separation possible, probably the most extreme. And we are so brave that we have dived all the way down, this far into this extreme of an experience of separation, where even here, then we believe that we are separate even from God. Wow, that's extreme. But here we are. Despite the firm physical appearance to the contrary, separation is an illusion. The experience of separation is the dream. It is a real experience. Right now we're having a real experience of separation, but it's not fundamentally real. The dream of being separate is an experience of form, of definition, taking place within something greater. something far more fundamental and lasting, something that does not give way, something that does not go away, something that does not die. There is no word that we can use for that something, but we can try. That something is the very substance of spirit, consciousness itself. It is not an abstraction. It is what we are. The living consciousness that is here right now, listening and thinking about this. The living consciousness that is perhaps judging whether this makes sense or resonates. The living consciousness that is feeling everything that you're feeling. You, that is what you are. The content is not actually what you are. It is a temporary, a very real, but temporary experience. What you really are is you, your consciousness, your spirit itself, the awareness that is knowing even this moment. So it may seem that you is stuck here in this world of form, stuck in a physical thing called a body, like a container. Like I'm in here and I'm looking out and look at this world and I'm stuck. I know it feels like that many times. But actually what is happening is your consciousness exists and pre-exists, and so does everybody else's mind. All of the knowingness that exists, it pre-exists, and then on it and in it takes place this experience of separation. That's an important distinction, because we think the fundamentally real thing is the material. No, it's not. That's second. What's first is the knower, the experiencer, the I that is experiencing exactly what it's like to be, in this case, you. Knowing exactly what it's like to be you. On this day, this very Sunday, in 2021. Rather than being stuck in the world is actually appearing within your awareness of it and my awareness of it. And then the awareness of all of our brothers and sisters who are here also experiencing it with us. We deeply identify with the dream content, but the larger, ever-enduring truth of what we are is far deeper. Okay, so now I'm going to use a metaphor that I've mentioned before, but I think this is super helpful as we try to tie this back to the idea of why love is always near to us. Okay, so the metaphor is that life, physical life, is like watching the movie. And when you watch the movie, you lose yourself in it. You see all the actions, all the things are happening, all the visual stimulus, all the sound, you feel emotions, you get tied into these characters. It's real, it's a real experience of a movie. But in this metaphor, when the movie ends and the light is gone on the screen, what's left is the movie screen itself. And the movie screen itself never went anywhere. It was what was always physically there and present and real in this metaphor. In this metaphor, your consciousness itself, my consciousness, all the consciousness that is knowing this world, that is the movie screen or movie screens. And the content of physical life is taking place on and within you, the pre-existing you. And what is very, very tangibly important here is that movie screen, what is it made of? Again, there's no words. But if I had to pick just one, it's made of love. It's made of love. Who you are is a being of love. Who each of us is, every single person out there is a being of love. That is what we are. We are not the fearful wrecks who seek to consume and pursue self-satisfaction and at the expense of the world. That's not what we are. What we are is the I that knows this experience and has temporarily lost itself in this dream. And that I is made of love. Not just individually, but so very importantly connected to the all sum and beyond the sum, the source of love, what we so very crudely call God. God who individually knows us and is of us, and we are of him or her, whatever pronoun we want to use. That never goes anywhere. You are a part of it. You cannot be separated from it. So the love of that entire source is here now, right now. It is with you when you suffer. It is with you when you protest at the injustices of the world. It is with you when you stomp your feet and say, I don't like this. It is with you when you're in pain, when you're in pleasure. It is with you as you go about your common days, when you're on the toilet, when you're writing bills, when you're eating tacos, whatever you're doing, you are a part of that whole. And that whole is with you right now, in a sense, looking out of your very eyes, in a sense. That stuff is love. So how can love ever be far? It can't. We cannot ever be totally separated from it. Now, experientially, we identify so deeply with the physical and with our identifications and with our stories and with our ego that we suffer a lot. We reject even the experience of separation. Oh, especially that. Lord knows I've done that. Oh my gosh. We reject it, and then we buy into these stories. I'm so-and-so. Oh, and I've been hurt and I've been affronted. But guess what? Now that you've bought into that perception, you are experiencing exactly what it's like to be in alignment with that perception, that vibration. That is what it's like to lose yourself in the dream of form. And that's okay. We came to have the experience. But at the bottom of it, at the roots, beneath it all, you cannot not be love, ever. And the person next to you that ticks you off, makes you angry, they can't not be love. If you feel anger towards somebody else, you are feeling angry towards love, which is expressing itself as this person. Recognize then that there is never a time or a place that we are far from it. It is the very fabric of what we are. It is the nature of existence itself. Existence is built on a foundation of love, even when horrifying and terrifying dreams may arise for the sake of creative expansion. And that's a separate conversation. There is a purpose to all this. So how can we move towards feeling that again, right? Because we don't feel that all the time. We get distressed and we feel separate and we feel alone and we feel hopeless and we feel pain and we feel all this stuff. Well, there's not one thing anyone can say, of course, but I'll suggest a few brief things because you have a lot more power to move back towards that than you might be aware of. First, let go. Surrender. Surrender to God. Surrender to what is. Surrender to the now. You don't need to have a death grip on it and bend it to whatever thing you think needs to happen. You can be present fully with what exists. Surrender to the divine, whatever form that means to you, whatever belief system or language you wish to use. Choose to have that intent to let go. Turn yourself towards the divine. It's always there. See the beauty in the world around you and the beauty in others. My goodness, everything is beautiful if you just look. The sky, the light, the feeling of any given sensory experience, the smell of toast, whatever. There is beauty in it all. But so often we're too busy thinking and identifying with things and trying to do the next thing that we lose sight of that. Acknowledge the life and the love in the people around you and in the animals around you. There is light in every person around you and every living thing and every non-living thing, actually, but it appears non-living on the surface anyway. There is light in each person. Try to identify, try to see the genuineness that may be buried deep inside the person next to you. Maybe they're a grumpy person. They've been grumpy for decades. Why? There's something in there. They've been hurt. Can you see the light that they really are that's just stuck underneath this pain? Be fully present. Serve. It's a lot harder to suffer when you're serving someone else. Rejoice. Have fun. You're allowed to have fun. This is meant to be an experience that ultimately grows love and joy. It's not required at all to be an experience of suffering. Yes, it's highly constraining being human. It's a real experience of separation, but you're allowed to use it for fun. You can have fun today. That's a wonderful thing. And in fact, it's actually a service in a sense. If you let go of all your seriousness and go out and play a game and run with the dog and chase the leaves, wow, that's using the experience of the physical for more in alignment with what we truly are. And in all things, try to find how you can choose to act from a loving intent. Try to choose love over fear in any given moment, any given interaction, any given decision. As we do those things, we, not because we're trying to do this, but we automatically clear the way and move vibrationally closer to that truth of love that we really are. When we have fun, we're having fun. We're closer to love. When we love the person next to us, we're not acting in fear. We move closer to love. When we accept what is around us and do not resist, we are no longer struggling, no longer fighting. That resistance allows the love that we truly are to rise back up. It is in our power to choose in any given moment how to meet this moment. And that small choice is so important, so powerful. We don't have to move big mountains while we're here on earth. We don't have to do that. There is so much power and accomplishment, spiritual accomplishment, in just choosing how to meet this moment, any given moment. It doesn't need to be humongous. It can be the way that you look at yourself in the mirror when you're brushing your teeth. It could be the way you decide to approach the person in the grocery store next time you're there. It could be the way you choose to identify with your money. But whatever choice, we have power in those moments to better use the physical for what it is meant to be. No matter what we do or do not do, love is always there, always. And when this experience of the physical is finally done, and we look back, we just may see the truth. No, we will see the truth of that. We will sense our greater natures that were always present. And we will see that ultimately there was nothing to fear, because all of this took place within that all-powerful love, within Source. There is no escaping the true wisdom and the true love of that Source that we come from. And we are much greater than these human characters that we seem to get so tied up in.